Yo, 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 what's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages? How we going? How are we feeling, baby? Let's go. How are we doing? What a busy morning, man. It's been a busy day so far. How's everybody doing this wonderful day? Roster cuts. We got 15 minutes into the final whistle blows until everything is due. It is Tuesday, August 30th. What a busy morning, man. Unbelievable. How's everybody feeling today? Just drop your thoughts in the comments. You know how we're going to do it. I'm going to have a few people jumping in soon. But man, what a morning. We got roster cuts that we got to discuss. And, we had the Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance questions answered from Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch. That was interesting. Wow, that was very interesting this morning. They said everything they had to say. So, we're going to talk about that. What's up, everybody? The legend, Brian Miller, Diego Sanchez. What's up, Avila? You know the vibes. Oh, man. Did you guys have any surprises so far on on the roster cuts? To me, there was a few surprises. The biggest one being Jason Poe, man. I thought he was going to make the final 53-man roster. Jeremy Fowler said that, they released Jason Poe. This is the thing. There's a lot of people that are going to be cut today across the league, hundreds of people. So hopefully he clears the waivers and he can make the practice squad, because I thought Jason Poe was so good this offseason, and I thought he was going to get a spot on the offensive line. But, there's going to be a lot of people. Maybe we steal somebody else's players, that they cut. So I kind of want to see who's available around the league. We may not just sign back our players, but we might sign somebody else's. And then another one that was super, super shocking was Kemoko Turay. Kemoko Turay was cut today. I thought he was phenomenal as far as a pass rusher. Great depth, but, they have a lot of linemen, and it was a big, big battle to see who's going to make it. So I thought there was going to be 10 or maybe 11 defensive linemen. It looks like they might go with 10. Kemoko Turay not making this roster to me was huge. I thought that they were going to have Kemoko Turay off this day. I thought he proved himself that he was, going to be a big-time part of this rotation. He was moving in the training camp. He was moving in preseason. He was always all around the field. I can't believe it. I am shook. Roas says, are there going to be more people cut? Yeah, they still got a lot more to go. They got 15 minutes to make this final cut, and then they'll announce everything. But yeah, Kemoko Turay being cut was shocking. Malik Turner, to me, they released Malik Turner for Adam Schefter. I was surprised. I thought Malik Turner was making this roster as a sixth wide receiver. So I am very surprised that Malik Turner will be released today. Maybe they bring him back on a practice roster. You can't bring every player back on a practice roster. It looks like they're set with 5 wide receivers: Debo, Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Danny Gray, and Ray McLeod. That's it. Those were the 5 we all thought. I thought Malik Turner did enough to sneak onto the roster as a special teamer. Looks like I was wrong. Kyle Shanahan said, nope, you're wrong, buddy. I mean, I missed out on that one. Kemoko Turay, I thought for sure he was going to be on the roster. And then this one was surprising to a lot of people, not to me. I did have him making the final roster, but I wasn't surprised because, the running back situation was kind of up and down. It was a very tough, decision to make. But JaMycal Hasty was also waived today. Matt Barrows reported earlier. So JaMycal Hasty not making the roster. He played really good in the preseason, but, depending on how he does in the regular season is a little different than how he plays in the preseason, right? So Kyle Shanahan, this is going to be a tough backfield to crack. Will Jordan Mason make the final roster? Will Trey Sermon make the final roster? It looks like Trey Sermon is making this roster, and it looks like Jordan Mason might have survived until the final hour, But JaMycal Hasty definitely got cut, and a lot of people are surprised about this. I wasn't, because like I said before, I said JaMycal Hasty always shows up in the preseason, and maybe they cut him and he goes to the waivers. But I think JaMycal Hasty is probably good enough that somebody's going to claim him. Miami, somebody that needs running back depth will steal JaMycal Hasty. I felt that it was either between him and Jordan Mason. If you cut Jordan Mason, somebody's snatching him right away. I know for sure. I think JaMycal Hasty will get claimed too. I think Seattle would be a team, or the Rams would be a team. Hell, even the Arizona Cardinals, any one of these NFC West teams would try to claim JaMycal Hasty. I don't know. Were you guys surprised about that? Hasty is trash, the sad 49er fan. I mean, I've been saying it all off season, but some people don't believe it. I don't like JaMycal Hasty on the roster, but he has some talent. Like, he's good pass catching back, but he fumbles a lot. And I feel like he's too shifty for his own good. Sometimes he dances a little too much. I was never a big fan of Hasty, but maybe he makes the practice squad. They bring him back. Who knows? But I think he'll get cut or signed somewhere else. I think that Seattle or the Rams or somebody, Miami could be a team that picks him up. They love the former Niners with Mike McDaniel. So let's go through all the roster cuts so far. So I'm just going to go back from the morning. So we had Jordan Mills, offensive tackle. They cut him. He was brought in this offseason for depth. He didn't really stand out during the preseason games. He looked good in training camp, but he didn't translate to the preseason games. So they cut him. Roster depth is what he was. Willie Snead, he got cut. He fumbled his chances away the other night when he fumbled that potential touchdown catch. No surprise there. Marcus Johnson, he was also cut, wide receiver. No surprise there. I didn't think he was going to make this roster. Tay Martin, also wide receiver. They didn't bring him back. They waived him, but they probably will bring him back to the practice squad. So I think Tay Martin will be back practice squad. Tariq Castro-Fields, former 6th-round pick. He was waived or he was released as well. 6th-round pick. He's still very raw, developing. I think they bring him back to the practice squad. Again, Jason Poe, we talked about it. I was shook on that one. JaMycal Hasty, a lot of people were surprised. I wasn't. Alfredo Gutierrez was released today, and they'll probably bring him back on the practice squad. I don't see him going anywhere. Shout out to Alfredo in the international development program. They'll probably bring him back. He's still very raw. He's still learning. It was cool to see him get, that first snap of the season, but I don't think he's going to do much else right now. They still got to develop. Saguna Luby, linebacker, he was also released or waived. Rookie, undrafted. I think he makes the practice squad. And again, I talked about him and McCrary Ball. These two guys are your future. I believe they'll be big-time parts of your future on the linebacking core. Greenlaw and Azeez Al-Shahir are going to be they're in a contract year. Who knows if they'll be back? So Saguna Luby and McCrary Ball will probably be future guys. I see them both being on the practice squad, but again, it's not official yet. McCrary Ball might still crack this final roster. We still got a few more minutes to go. Another guy that was cut or waived, another undrafted rookie, Quantrez Knight. I liked him. He looks good. He has talent. I think he'll stick to this team somehow. Practice squad. I love this kid. He has some good skills. Ball hawk. Quantrez Knight was waived, but I think they bring him back for sure. That's what Eric Branch was saying, that they want to bring him back practice squad. Hopefully he clears the waivers. Now we mentioned it. Kamoko Toure, he was waived. I was surprised that they released this guy, Kamoko Toure, veteran. He was all over the place. I was shook. Justin Skule. He gone. Dante Johnson, this was his 35th NFL transaction. They released the veteran cornerback Dante Johnson. Released. Dante Johnson's coming back. Shout out to Dante Johnson. He always comes back. Jimmy Ward will probably go to the short-term injured reserve list, and they'll probably bring back Dante Johnson. I have no doubt in my mind Dante Johnson will be back on the 49ers some way, somehow. Shout out to Dante Johnson. He is a unbelievable guy that always, he gets cut every time it comes back. Comes back. So Dante Johnson, man, I don't know how he does it. I would be a little irritated every week, every month, every year. He just gets cut and comes back. But hey, he's making good money, I'm sure, as a career journeyman, and he plays when he needs to play. Malik Turner, wide receiver. Again, they released him, veteran guy. I thought that was surprising. Thought he should have made at least made the roster on the special teams, but we'll see. What do I know? Kevin Atkins. Kevin Atkins was a rookie defensive tackle. They waived him. I think he'll probably come back to the practice squad. No surprise there. And then Tashawn Gibson, safety, veteran. They brought him in for some veteran depth during training camp. They released him. He looked a little slow. Maybe they'll bring back Jaquiski Tart. We've been talking about that. I heard through the grapevine that he's chilling right now. And maybe Miami will bring Tart back. They're going to kind of weigh their options. But Tart has no, from what I understand, he's looking at options. He's going to kind of take it slow. Miami's a team that keep an eye out for Jaquiski Tart. Makes sense. Miami might. Jaquiski Tart used to play with the Niners. Miami Mike's their new head coach. Used to be the OC for the Niners. So, and then the other big news update was Brock Purdy is making the roster. They're going to cut Nate Sudfeld, and Brock Purdy's QB3. Shout out to Brock Purdy, man. He weathered the storm, and he stays on the roster. This was big dub for Brock. You know, they got 3 quarterbacks. I was on the fence. Are they going to keep 2 or are they going to keep 3? Brock Purdy, per Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, is staying on the roster, and he's going to be QB3. So shout out to Mr. Irrelevant. He played his ass off this offseason. Those are your roster updates. Now, the interesting question is, will Brock Purdy get picked up from another team, right? Will another team pick, or not Brock Purdy, sorry, Nate Sudfeld. Will another team pick up Nate Sudfeld, right? Diego, perfect. He says, who picks up Nate Sudfeld? I think Seattle Seahawks would look into him. A team that may need a backup, you know, Giants. Any of those teams that we thought were interested in Jimmy, they might pick up Nate Sudfeld if they need a backup. You know, maybe he clears. He's getting $2 million guaranteed for the Niners. We'll see. Again, I don't know if they'll keep another quarterback on the practice squad. They have 3 on their roster. There's no sense in keeping a 4th quarterback. So I think that somebody will claim Nate Sudfeld. It's unfortunate. You know, sad Niner fan says they gave Sudfeld a $2 million contract just a couple of months later. Hey, shout out to Nate Sudfeld. He made a bag off this team, right? He made a bag off this team. He's Eric Rodriguez says, cut Colton McKivitz. They're not going to cut Colton McKivitz. You need tackle depth. Right tackle is a position that we are unsure of because Mike, I know Mike McGlinchey came back yesterday in practice, but you have to worry. I don't know if he's going to stay healthy through the whole entire season. You need depth. I'm not saying Colton McKivitz is great depth. He's still spotty at that spot, but you can't cut this tackle, Colton McKivitz. He's going to be a guy that probably plays swing tackle. Jalen Moore, probably another guy that plays swing tackle. And Dan Brunskill, that's another guy. You need to play him at tackle or backup guard. You're not cutting Colton McKivitz at this point. You know, they should have done a little bit better job of managing the tackle position in the draft. You know, Mike McGlinchey had a massive injury, and this is what they did. They're banking on Colton McKivitz, a guy they cut last year who was trying to play guard. They changed his position to tackle, and now he makes the roster. I don't know. Lifted Mike says, so does this mean Jordan Mason is staying? I think so. I think he's going to make the roster, but we're going to find out in a few minutes. Let's see. Man, Jimmy wants to know, why did they cut Kemoko Turay? Oh, God, I'm trying to figure it out, too. I had him on my roster. Maybe they think that there's somebody better on the defensive line, and maybe they had to cut him to keep the 3 quarterbacks, you know. Again, Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, they know the roster better than us. I thought Kemoko Turay did a good enough job to make this roster, but that D-line is tough, man. You knew somebody good was going to get cut, right? We talked about it this week, and I remember I kept saying, I said, somebody good is going to get cut on this team, and it's going to be very crazy. And I think Kemoko Turay was someone that's definitely a shock to me. Definitely a shock to me. I could not believe when I said Kemoko Turay. So, oh, man, we are 2 minutes away to figuring out. Oh, man. Business is business. How confident are you with our interior O-line? I'm like a 70% confidence right now. I'm not 100%. There's still some question marks. Aaron Banks, right? Aaron Banks is a guy that we have question marks. He's coming in to fill in for Laken Tomlinson. Those are big shoes to fill. You got my man Spencer Burford. I love the guy. He's got that talent. He's got that dog in him, but he's young. He's going to make mistakes. Jake Brendel, he's never started in his career. He's going to have a big job and a big shoes to fill for Alex Mack. So, you know, it is what it is. My boy, Senior Hyphy, what's good? What's good? Batcher says, how do you post stuff on IG so fast? You just got to do it, man. You just got to know the game. Know the game. That's how we do it. The Cap Vic says, why they cut Poe? I want to know also. Who are they keeping over Jason? Who are they keeping over Jason Poe? Who are they keeping over Jason Poe? I need to know. I need to know, man. Oh, man. Unbelievable. RE Investor says, watching Sudfeld in the preseason, he was looking a little too comfortable, maybe complacent. I just didn't get the vibe from him at all. Turay was a surprise, as was Hasty. You know, that's a good point. Sudfeld, I feel like he didn't do anything to get cut, but he didn't do anything to, like, elevate his game. I feel like Brock Purdy was out there Hunger Games vibes. He was like, I got to get out there. I got to show these guys. I want to make this really. You could see Purdy was really putting in that work to make sure he made this roster. I think Sudfeld thought, it's in the bag. $2 million guaranteed. It's in the bag. I'm gonna he didn't do anything to elevate his game. He didn't do anything to lose the spot. I think Sudfeld played okay, but I think he was okay with being, like you said, complacent, just being Nate Sudfeld. He didn't do anything to be like, oh wow, damn, okay, Nate. I think Brock Purdy did more. He worked harder to prove he belonged on the roster, and that's what they wanted out of Brock. He's a young quarterback. Prove that you're better, or at least as good as the other guy on the roster that you're trying to fight for. He proved he's at least as good as Nate Sudfeld, if not better in my eyes. I think Brock Purdy proved that he was better than Nate Sudfeld, and this was his rookie season. And he said, you know what? I think Shanahan saw that he had that dog in him, right? Like, he was working so hard, and he was like, you know what, Purdy? We're going to reward you for working your ass off. I agree with you that Teray was a surprise. I'm not too surprised about JaMycal Hasty. That was a very, very, very tough cut. It's 1 o'clock. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go. We are here. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Here we go. Oh, boy. Y'all excited? Are you nervous? Are we nervous? Sheesh. Man, this is what Kyle said, though. He says that there are 32 starting quarterbacks in this league, and we believe we have 2 of them now. Bro, he kept 2 quarterbacks, and he kept it a buck on his press conference. Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, man, they just let's go over everything they said. They said a lot. They said a lot, man. They said a lot today. The first and foremost, he said that John Lynch said yesterday was a big victory for us. We're happy that we brought Jimmy Garoppolo back, right? They said that they discussed the idea of keeping Jimmy Garoppolo as a backup about a month ago. Him and Kyle Shanahan talked about this for a month. An absolute month. That's crazy. So they've been knowing this. And you can kind of sense that when you go back and watch their video from the last month, they were trying to keep their mouth shut. They didn't try to say too much. And last week, Kyle Shanahan said, well, any ideas, any scenario is possible. You can kind of read the tea leaves when you go back. Of course, hindsight's 2020. But they said they've been talking about this for a month. I was a little surprised about that because they kept telling us, oh, yeah, we're going to cut Jimmy. Oh, we're going to do this. We're going to trade him. But they've been talking about that idea for a month. And then, boom, last week, Kyle Shanahan says, oh, yeah, any idea is possible. So yeah, you kind of figure it out through the tea leaves. And then Shanahan said that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't participate with the teammates because the team felt the chances of him returning were very slim. So they still didn't think that he'd be back. So they didn't have him compete with the teammates. He didn't go out there and practice. That was his excuse. I don't know if I buy that. I think they just were like, okay, we're going to separate this. We want to commit this team to Trey because we told Trey this is his team, and they kept Jimmy out in the back doing his rehab stuff. So I think as things started coming out and they couldn't find a trade partner, they were like, shit, okay, let's just talk to Jimmy and make this a reality. So that's kind of the way I see it. They did confirm that Trey Lance is our starting quarterback. They had to reiterate that. Kyle Shanahan said, look, Trey Lance is our starting quarterback, right? All right, let's see. Did we get those final rosters out? Let's see. We'll get back to that. Let's see. Did they? Here it is. There it is. Depth chart. No. Let's see. I'm shook. Are we doing this? The deadline has come for teams to get to 53-man rosters, but as always, they're not final. Well, let's see. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I'm refreshing the phone just like you guys. Let's go back to what Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch said. We'll kind of read those tweets over as we wait. So yeah, they did say that Trey Lance is our starting quarterback. I think people need to realize this is still Trey's team. Jimmy's the backup. He's an insurance policy, and he's not an expensive insurance policy as he once was. They did make sure to mention that Trey and Jimmy have a great relationship. He says Kyle Shanahan says Trey actually likes having Jimmy in the building. And then they said that we have zero worries about Jimmy Garoppolo not having a playbook. Kyle says, I don't have one either. He joked a little. He says it doesn't matter if he doesn't have a playbook. He's the backup. He's the insurance policy. Jimmy's been on this team for many years. It is what it is. He says there are 32 starting quarterbacks in this league. We believe we have 2 of them on our roster. He says the move isn't any reflection on Trey Lance. This was, oh my God, Jimmy Garoppolo is available as a backup. So they were like, it's not a bad idea to have Jimmy as a backup because he's better than Nate Sudfeld and Brock Purdy. In case anything were to happen to Trey, okay, you can insert Jimmy Garoppolo and still win games. And that's kind of like the vibe we were talking about yesterday. That's what Eric Davis had said. You know, is Jimmy's a good backup for the team. And then Kyle Shanahan said that when he told Trey that Jimmy's coming back, he said, "Oh, it's awesome." And then there was no relationship to men, so they made it a point to kind of state that there's nothing but good vibes between Jimmy and Trey. Like he wanted to stress that. He stressed that a lot in this press conference. That hey, just because we have two starting quarterback basically on this team doesn't mean there's any ill will towards anybody. They know that their roles are their roles. Trey's the starter. Jimmy's the backup. They like each other. They're bros. And we all just want to win games. That's it. So Trey is the starter. They're committed to him, but that veteran presence, having done it with the scheme and offense, is something Jimmy gives us as an edge over the QBs. And at the end of the day, he's not a bad backup to have. The only issue I have with it, and again I said this last night, the only issue I have with it is okay. The only way Trey, is not playing as a starter is if Jimmy Garoppolo, the only way Jimmy Garoppolo comes in as starter is if Trey Lance gets hurt, right? It's the only way you put him in. It's the only way you put Jimmy. Now, the only issue I have with this whole situation is, let's say Trey Lance gets hurt and they put Jimmy Garoppolo in, and then boom, flash forward to a couple days later or weeks later, let's say Trey Lance is healthy and they don't put him in the roster. If they don't put Trey Lance back in the roster after he's hurt and they've inserted Jimmy Garoppolo in the roster, then you've done messed up. That's what they can do. I don't think that's going to happen, but that is an issue. If they let that happen, that is an absolute issue. You can't do that. You could only let Trey be the starting quarterback unless he's hurt. That's the only way you bring in Jimmy. And he can go to the sideline, get some help, ask him for some questions. Jimmy sees things, as a veteran that maybe Trey might not see. And I buy that. I buy that take. Now, again, will this put pressure on Trey? Probably so, but Trey Lance was going to have pressure regardless. Regardless, he was going to have pressure if Jimmy was there or not. The media is going to eat this man up alive. If he has one bad game, if Jimmy wasn't there, they would have said, "Oh, you should have kept Jimmy." Now that Jimmy's there, they're going to say, "Now you need to start Jimmy if he has a bad day." So regardless, it's the same pressure. And if Trey can't handle it, then he's not the guy. And I think Trey definitely will be able to kind of stay afloat. He's a strong guy mentally, and I think he's going to be okay. When is the roster going to be released? We're patiently waiting. We're waiting for this. Waiting for this drop. The Bears just announced their 53-man roster. We are waiting. We are patiently waiting. You guys have any bold predictions as we wait? The great JM says, "Why do the 49ers do not care about the O-line?" I don't know, man. I think it's like every year there's a roster position that they don't focus on. Usually it's cornerback. They finally address cornerback, and now they forgot about O-line. So I think every year they figure out, we should probably worry about this. Next year they'll probably beef up the O-line. That's the way it's going to happen because they beefed up quarterback. They're always a year behind. Senior Hyphy says, "My bold prediction is Mason is going to finish a strong running back 2 at the end of the season." I can see it, bro. It's not a bold take. That is a nice take because Kyle Shanahan cycles through running backs a lot. They get hurt, unfortunately, and then there's always people that jump on the roster. They sign people left and right through the season. Remember last year how many times we had to go on the waiver wire, sign a running back, and then get them on the practice squad, call them up. Every week we were doing that. So if there's an injury, I think Jordan Mason can climb up this roster pretty quick. He showed really good ability on this roster. And Kyle Shanahan has a knack of developing these running backs. Elijah Mitchell, he was a 6th-round pick. You have so many undrafted players that have played on this roster and have become really good running backs. Matt Breida, there's a whole slew of them. And I think Jordan Mason could be that next guy. So it's not a bold take. I think that's a solid take. Jordan Mason, man, he can ascend up this roster. Riley says, "How do you feel about Fields saying he's going to make us paying for passing on him?" Bro, I I can't wait to post about that because, oh, man, when I saw that, I was like, this man really have an Aaron Rodgers type of vibe right now. He really is trying to be that guy. He's really trying to be, yeah, I got that chip on my shoulder. Bro, I can't wait. I hope he knows he's playing against one of the best defenses in the NFL week 1. And we're about to come for his neck, dude. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, and everybody else on this roster, once they see this quote, they're about to pulverize this man. I think Justin Fields made a mistake by saying that. You got to stay humble. He hasn't done anything in the league yet. He's a second-year quarterback. I get it. He's trying to come in with the chip on his shoulder and prove everybody, yeah, I'm Justin Fields. You need to shut the F up, dog. Like, you need to be quiet, Justin Fields, because you're about to get your head knocked out, man. This man talks a lot. Justin Fields last year as a rookie, he was not humble. He was not a humble rookie. What did he say? Oh, yeah, it's easy out there. Remember he had that quote? He was like, it's easy to me or whatever. And then he got sacked like 9 times in the next game. Like, this man needs to just be humble, calm down until he proves something. And if you win an MVP, you go out there and you dog walk the league, I'll let you talk. But you have not done anything yet. He needs to zip it. He needs to zip it, man. Oh, man. My man Ari Investor says, great conversation earlier with 957 a game with Mike Holmgren, getting his take on the 49ers, keeping Jimmy G and Trey Lance. Mike has always been a QB guru on his shows again. I got to check that out. I didn't get a chance to hear it. But Mike Holmgren always has good takes, so I'll take your word for it. I'll have to check back and get to it. What's up, Blackbeard? What's up, Faithful? He says, let's go. Hit that like button. Glad Trey doesn't start drama like other QBs. I'm glad he doesn't start any drama either. Yeah, it's interesting. Very interesting. Did you guys have any, any surprises today? I want to talk about what RG3 said last night. So he basically says that the Jimmy Garoppolo move was a dub. He says that Jimmy Garoppolo staying with the 49ers was the best thing for him and the team. There are no starting roster spots or better paying backup spots at this point. He goes, nice to have a guy who took you to the Super Bowl as your backup, ready to step in if anything happens to Trey Lance. I think that's definitely what the fans are excited about. If anything does happen to Trey, God forbid, knock on wood, he doesn't get hurt. But if he does, Jimmy can come in and win games. He's not going to be like Nick Mullins or CJ Beathard. And that's the thing. When Jimmy was the quarterback and he got hurt all the time, they had to go to their backup quarterbacks. And CJ Beathard wasn't going to get the job done. Nick Mullins wasn't going to get the job done. They lost a lot of close games because their backup quarterback couldn't win games. Now you basically have 2 starting quarterbacks on your roster. So if your better starting roster quarterback goes down, you get your second quarterback in who's also a starting quarterback for your team, and you don't miss a beat, right? So Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't really need a playbook if you think about it. He has his own playbook. They have the Jimmy Garoppolo playbook, and then you have the Trey Lance playbook. So nothing changes for Jimmy. He's going to get his same couple pages of papers, right? He's going to have his playbook. And Trey has his playbook. There's 2 different playbooks, and now it's going to make it harder for teams to game plan for us, Trey Lance, he's a whole different playbook than Jimmy. So the whole, I've been thinking about it, like the whole thing of Jimmy not having a playbook doesn't matter because he has his own playbook from all the other years he's been here. So RG3 is a dub. My man Senior says our D-line is great, but we need to work on more strip sacks. Yeah, I think they do. They need to be more opportunistic, the whole defense. They need to make turnovers a key. Like, they have to be a turnover machine this year, and I think they will. I think they'll be a turnover-happy team, right? With the secondary, an improved secondary, a tough D-line, and a very strong front seven, with those linebackers, I think they're going to be an opportunistic team. And you could tell they've been really working on that stuff. And when I went to training camp, I saw a lot of their their drills. They were working on stripping the ball. So I can tell they're putting an emphasis on turnovers. They have to get turnovers. So my man Quan Boy says, "What's up, Raj? What do you think about bringing in Alex Leatherwood?" Hey, I think he would be a solid addition to this team. One man's garbage is another man's treasure. I think Leatherwood was a guy that we can bring into the team, and he would be nice. I like, again, there are a lot of teams, right, that cut players, just like every team cuts players, and it's going to be interesting to me to see if we go out and look at other players on the waiver wire and then try to acquire them. Because, yeah, okay, we love our players, right? We love our players, and we want to bring as many as we can back. But if we can get other guys that are pretty good talent, why not bring him back? I think Alex Leatherwood would be a nice addition to this team. I like him. I like him. I think that's not a bad idea. Again, he's a quality veteran. The Raiders cut him, and not a bad idea. What do you guys think? Do you think we should bring in Alex Leatherwood to the Niners? It wouldn't hurt, right? He was a former first-round pick. He's a former first-round pick. He's not bad, right? I mean, we need the depth. Wouldn't be a bad move. It wouldn't be a bad move. It can't be worse than what we have. We need depth. I mean, definitely, there's definitely a reason they cut him, obviously, but I don't think it would be a bad, like, depth piece. We need tackle depth, right? Mike McGlinchey is hurt right now. I know he came back to practice, but is he going to make it through a season? At least have a guy like Alex Leatherwood, that has some type of potential. A former first-round pick, at least. I think he's better than Colton McKivitz, right? He's better than Jalen Moore. Better than those guys. I think so. So I think it'd be a decent upgrade over the tackles that we have in a backup position. Again, Mike McGlinchey, he's our starting right tackle. Now, if anything happens to him, which I don't know if he's going to survive this season. I really keep stressing that because he had a nasty injury. At least you keep Alex Leatherwood there to kind of be a insurance policy, right? We got Jimmy G as an insurance policy. I think Alex Leatherwood wouldn't be a bad insurance policy. That's the way I see it. It wouldn't be bad, though. Yeah, Devon says, we are really counting on Mike McGlinchey. I am a little worried. That's all I'm going to say. I'm a little worried about Mike McGlinchey. Batcher says, did Justin Fields really say that about us? Yeah, he did. I'm going to post about it. If you go to NBC Sports Bay Area, they have the article posted. They have, 49ers on NBC. S. Let me show. Yeah, right here. So I'm going to show you 49ers on NBCS right here. They have the article. Go check it out. It's on Twitter. Justin Fields, the headline is, Justin Fields is motivated for week 1 matchup against the 49ers. We'll talk about it sometime as we get closer to week 1. But he did. He says he's going to, prove everything that everybody doubted on him, especially week 1, the team that passed on him. So this is a report that wide receiver Darnell Mooney, he says this is what Fields had kind of told him. So it's apparently what, Justin Fields is saying, that he's mad that all these teams passed up on him. I mean, you could kind of tell that. If you watched the draft last year, remember, he was just like a little irritated. He was low-key frustrated. Remember when he got drafted, he didn't smile. He was just like, he had a piss-poor attitude when he got drafted. And I think that's going to be something he's going to roll with this whole season. You know how quarterbacks say, I'm going to make these guys pay. Sam Darnold energy, right? I'm going to make all the teams that passed up on me pay. And I think Justin Fields is having that moment. And he's going to pay. He's going to be the one that pays. You know what? Aaron Rodgers, as great as he's been, he said that when he got drafted, I'm going to make the Niners pay for not taking me, because he wanted to be a Niner guy, right? He's a Niner fan growing up. Guess what? The Niners have beat his ass 4 times in the playoffs. Twice with Kaepernick, twice with Jimmy Garoppolo. That makes him sick. He probably doesn't care. He won the MVPs. He's sick to his stomach that he gets dog walked against the Niners in the playoffs. You got to love it. You got to love it when people sit here and they talk all this trash against the Niners and then they get owned. That's why we keep the receipts, man. The great James says, Rodgers still gets dropped off by it. He really does, man. Oh, my God. 49ers made his ass play. Oh, my God. Javelle says, Baker Mayfield said the same thing today. Oh, yeah, did you hear? So Baker Mayfield, I can't remember who was interviewing him. Some lady reporter, and somebody reported it, that he basically says he's going to F up the Browns. He's going to F up the Browns week 1. This man is pit. Baker Mayfield, you could tell when he wrote that note. Remember, he went on his iPhone, his notes app, and he wrote all this like, oh man, I can't believe it. I feel slighted by the Browns. He posted that to social media. I knew he's going to be saying something like this since that day. Like, he's been waiting for this revenge game. Baker Mayfield week 1 against the Browns is going to be one of the best stories. I cannot wait for that game. Baker Mayfield wants to make the Browns pay. They're either going to make him look stupid or he's going to make them look stupid, and I'm here for it. Oh, man. Who was the defensive player that the Raiders cut a few years back and we signed, and then he had a good year? Oh, that was Arden Key. Arden Key was a trash bucket on the Raiders, right? And everybody thought he was a massive bust. He was coming out of LSU when he got drafted. He was a solid talent. I remember I was like, ooh, I like Arden Key. I was an Arden Key stan. I remember a draft season came. I was like, ooh, I like Arden Key. I was like, oh, the Raiders got him. And he was a trash bucket for the Raiders. We signed him. Chris Kashurt got him. Good, man. He made him look good. So, my man Wayne Breezy's coming in. Let's see. Wayne Breezy's about to drop in real quick, ladies and gentlemen. He just texted me. He's going to be on for a quick minute, and we're going to finish talking about this as we wait for the rosters to drop. Here we go. So we got my man Wayne Breezy tapping in. We're going to see him in just a minute. I gave him the link. So let's get my boy Wayne in here, and we'll ask him some questions. We'll see what he thinks about the rosters so far, and we'll see what he thinks about the whole Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, and the press conference. We'll get him in, and let's see. Let me go through some news here. The Seahawks released J.J. Arcega-Whiteside after trading for him from the Eagles. Seahawks are so bad, man. Seahawks are so bad. Look at this. They just released J.J. Arcega-Whiteside after they traded for him. They traded for this man. They traded for him, and they just released him. Common Seahawks L. A Seahawks L. Oh, my God. You got to love it. The Seahawks are so stupid, man. You got to be so stupid. You just traded for a guy. Bro, I love it, man. I love it. This team is so stupid. Here we go. Wayne's tapping in. There he is. What's good, man? How you doing, brother?
Man, look. It's good to be wrong sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at your roster predictions, and that's what they are. I think people forget the word P behind the word roster, and sometimes we're just off. But we're not too far off, right? We're not too far off. Christy, what's going on, baby girl? Look, I like what's going down. I got to ask you this question.
Yeah.
And you might have already touched on it, and I apologize for jumping in here late.
No, don't worry, man.
Were you, like, bamboozled with the Brock Purdy keep over Nate Sudfeld? Or did you?
So let's talk about that. I did mention it a little bit, but I like this. Okay, so remember we talked about this three-man. We talked about this quarterback situation the other day when we did our roster prediction, and I kept saying I was on the fence. I want to put Purdy on this roster. I want to put Purdy on the roster. And then remember I asked you. I said, "What about Jimmy?" And we touched on Jimmy, and you were like, "Oh, I don't know."
I forgot.
Now that I think about this whole situation, it makes sense because okay, Purdy is a young quarterback, and who do we say that Brock Purdy reminds us of? Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is not just there to fucking be the mentor for Trey Lance. He's there to groom and mentor Brock Purdy. He's going to be a double mentor. Like, okay, he's definitely an insurance policy for Trey. If Trey gets hurt, Jimmy comes in. But you know what? They already said Trey's our starter. Jimmy Garoppolo is there to help both of them. But Brock Purdy specifically, because Brock Purdy to me reminds me of a young Jimmy Guwop. And I think this is why they kept him. Nate Sudfeld, you know what? They paid him $2 million. I don't think they realized that Purdy was going to come into camp and play as hard as he did. Because I think what they did was, okay, we're going to let Sudfeld go out there and Purdy go out there and compete. And Sudfeld didn't play bad, but he didn't do anything to, like, elevate his game. Whereas Purdy, he was hungry, man. He came out every week and he was like, I got to prove myself. I need to go out and work. Like, he was given certain situations during preseason, and he executed pretty damn flawlessly, almost flawless. He executed very well. So I think when they saw that, they're like, you know what? it's worth keeping Brock Purdy because he's a nice young quarterback that we can keep and develop. And if we have Jimmy here for another year, he can make him become, the young Jimmy Garoppolo that we have waiting in the wings in the backup spot in case anything ever happens to Trey. So Nate Sudfeld's a veteran. He's not going to get any better, but he's going to be what Nate Sudfeld is. And they were okay with letting him go. So looking back at it and in hindsight and everything, I think it was the right move. I think it's nice.
I agree with you. And the only reason why we said we would keep Nate Sudfeld was because of $2 million that was guaranteed.
Yeah.
And then the 49ers said, F that guaranteed money. I don't care about $2 million. Now, if it was $10 million or $8 million or 6 or 4, a little bit higher, I think it would have been a different situation. They would have had to try to figure something out. But I agree with you, Raj. I really do enjoy Brock Purdy being the thing that I enjoyed the most was before Jimmy Garoppolo, Brock Purdy was quarterback number 2.
That's it.
That's what shocked me. It's like, wait a minute, what? Now, look, he went out there and he balled out. I'm not going to stunt. And let me tell you what he did the best. And we can do some film breakdown on this, Raj. This kid in the 2-minute drill and in the 4-minute drill was freaking clutch. And Raj should have had a touchdown so that we didn't get shut out, but your boy Willie Snead, the 4th, dropped the pass in the end zone after being wide open, and that's why his ass got cut.
That's why he did. Yeah, that man coated his hands with butter, and he went out to try and catch a pass, and he dropped it. And they say, you know what, Willie Snead, you getting cut. He was one of the first cuts today. They take care of it. They fucking cut that man like a bad habit. And you know what? That made Brock Purdy's stats a little, not as good, not as reflecting of how good he played this season. And I loved his 2-minute drill ability. He looked cool, calm, poised. And I think he was a young, again, he had that quick release. He doesn't have big arm talent. Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have arm talent, but he knows how to play in the system. Like, he's a Kyle Shanahan quarterback in this system. So I think that's why you keep Brock Purdy. And he's a younger guy you could develop. Nate Sudfeld, you're not going to develop him into anything. And again, $2 million, when we first thought about it, we were like, that's a lot of money to pay a backup. But the moment Jimmy Guwap restructured his contract,
that's it.
You keep Purdy, and you can afford letting Sudfeld take that $2 million.
He became
shout out to Jimmy G for taking that pay cut. What do you
shout out to Jimmy G? Hey, yo, Jimmy, when I see you, fist pump, bro. Lungs is at Hooters. That's all that matters. I need some chicken wings.
We going to Hooters with Jimmy.
We going to Hooters with Jimmy G. Listen, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. And it's funny because you're saying to myself, all right, cool. Jimmy's back. Now, like I said, and I was just said this on the John Chapman show, initially, I was emotionally like, what the F, right? Emotionally. And then I started to rationalize the situation and I started to say the light bulb started to click. Now, this does not mean I think Jimmy G is going to start. I just feel like Jimmy G in this situation makes the 49ers that much more stronger because now you have the best backup quarterback in the NFL who should be a starting quarterback for any other 31 teams. So this is going to make the 49ers that much more dangerous if they have to look at Jimmy. And so you know what's cool? Oh, dude, last year, Trey Lance was processing, right? Now you got the great mind of Jimmy G on the sideline, processing the plays, simplifying things for Trey Lance. This is so dope. Kyle Shanahan is smarter than the average bear.
Yeah, he's just smart. Like, when I first came on live, I remember sitting here, I was like flabbergasted. Like, what did we do? Oh my God, this is crazy. And then I had Eric Davis last night. We were talking live with Eric Davis, Niner legend. And he kind of like walked me through it. Smitty was pissed and everybody was mad. But I was listening. I was hearing out Eric. I was like, this motherfucker just broke it down to me and he made it make sense. And I was like, you know what? Trey can go on the sideline. He doesn't have to ask Kyle Shanahan. He doesn't want to piss off Kyle because Kyle expects Trey to know. But he can be like, yo, Jimmy, can you keep an eye on these like plays for me? Just give me some. And then Jimmy could be like, yo, check it. They're good. He knows the NFL. He's a veteran. He may not be the elite guy we want, but he could be like in Trey's ear and be like, yo, look out for this. They're coming and they're stunting on this. Like, he can give him a little bit of inside information on the sideline and be like he can be his like wingman out there and be like, yo, you know what? Check it out. This. And then as Trey gets better at figuring this stuff out and processing it, we know he has the talent, but he can use Jimmy as like his extra little, FBI agent, reading stuff and helping him out a little bit. And it's cool because they're boys. They even said it. So one of the things that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch talked about today was they're great friends. Trey was cool about it. They talked to him. You know, Albert Breer mentioned this yesterday, that they sat down both quarterbacks. They had a conversation. And if Trey was cool with it, then I'm cool with it. Because if
I
that's
gotta be cool with it. All I cared about was Trey. His emotions. That's the only thing that I was concerned with. Is Trey gonna feel some type of way? If Trey cool, Breezy and Raj, we cool.
We cool with it, boy. That's it, cool, man. If he's cool with Jimmy Gu up there, because at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to win a championship. And if Jimmy's there and he's a $6.5 million backup, cool. If he comes in and wins games, then he gets a little bit more money for him. And he should. If that's the incentive he put in the roster on his contract, smart, kudos to Jimmy. It's just like Debo. He got a roster. He got a money incentive in order for, running the ball. So it's like, okay, if you want me to fucking run the ball, Kyle, pay me. Okay, cool. And Jimmy said, hey, you want me to play? If Trey goes down, pay me if I win a game, because I'm supposed to win games. So there you go. It works out both ways.
I'm telling you, they're geniuses, yo. They're geniuses. And you know what, bro? I got to give a round of applause, bro. Real quick. Round of applause, Raj, to all the 31 stupid fucking NFL teams. All the other ones. They're just dumb as fuck. Like, they're just dumb. You just gave Kyle Shanahan a draw four card. Like, he's already the mastermind, and now you just gave him a draw, get out of jail free. You name your game. You just gave him a trump card. Stupid teams. Stupid. Like, dumb. Dumb teams. But I get it. They didn't want to pay Jimmy that $25 million. I get it. But I tell you what. They didn't want to
pay him 25, but so Kyle and Lynch said, all right, we'll keep him. Let's talk to Jimmy. Let's see if he'll take a pay cut. And they were like, oh, shit, you'll take a pay cut? Cool for Jimmy, because like he said, he put an incentive that says, okay, I'll take a cut. But if I have to play for you guys, pay me money for winning games, because I win games for y'all motherfuckers. So it was a smart move. It's a win-win for everybody. Now, the only way I don't like this, because I did say this last night, the only way that I don't like this is, the only way Trey is not going to play games is if he gets hurt, right? We know that this is Trey's team. He's the starter. If he gets hurt, God forbid, Jimmy goes in. Now, if Trey gets healthy and you still keep Jimmy Garoppolo starting quarterback, then you fucked everything up. Then you messed it up. So Bingo. You can't do that. That's where you mess up. So they have to make sure, if this is really Trey's team and he gets hurt and then he comes back, you give him back the starting spot. That's the only issue I have with it, because I can see Kyle saying, I like Jimmy. He's on a roll. Let's keep him in there. No,
Kyle, don't fuck this up, Kyle.
So that's the only issue I have with it.
And I'm with you, Raj. Don't F this up. And I was just telling someone a little while ago, they were asking me, if Trey struggles, if Trey does this is a little different than your situation. But if Trey struggles, do you pull Trey out? I said, heck no. You let Trey go through the bumps, the bruises. This is the game of football. As if you said that Trey, let me ask you this question. Jimmy struggled a lot. Even though we won, we struggled. Did they pull Jimmy Garoppolo's ass out of the game?
No.
Nah. The only way he came out is if he faked the injury. And that was
my ankle. Oh, my fucking leg. My calf. My dick hurt. They pulled him out.
That's the only way he came out of the game, bro. Like, if it was a fake injury, we knew damn well Jimmy wasn't injured. But you know what I'm saying?
Hurt, bro. I remember vividly last year, the Seattle game, right? The home game. This boy Jimmy, all of us, he was hurt. Trey comes in that game. Why he has a calf injury? Why is he standing on the sidelines the whole? I was like, bro, if you're hurt, get your ass. He was standing, pacing on his injured calf. I was like, bro, you ain't hurt. You just done fucked up this game. So I know for a fact that he be faking those injuries. That's funny, bro.
It's just a way for Kyle to say, Jimmy, I need you to take a break, yo. So what I'm gonna need you to do is break a fingernail right here so you can't grip the ball. I'm gonna put this kid in here, man, and we just gonna go with. Yo, you know what was interesting though? We ain't shit, dog. But what was interesting was Kyle Shanahan. This was reported from Rob Stats. He put this tweet out here from Niner Nation, and he said that Kyle was going to go with the dual threat quarterback thing, but then the players came to him and said, yo, that's kind of disrespectful to a leader on the team. So Kyle pulled it back.
I like that. I like that the team stepped up and says, yo, let's roll with who we got. And this shows me, and this is something I talked about last night, that this locker room is tough, man. They ain't going to let this phase them, because everybody was saying, oh, this is going to divide the locker room. It's awkward. And I came out initially. That was my initial reaction. It's going to be tough on the locker. It's going to fracture them. But if they coming out and they're saying, yo, let's roll with Trey, right? This is our guy. Let's give him more confidence. They got the young man's back. And I think that's going to be good for Trey because he needs to make sure that these guys have his back. Of course they love Jimmy. Of course they love him. He's been this quarterback for many years, and he's helped them get to where they needed to be. They fell short, but they love Jimmy, man. And the fact that they're saying, you know what, this is Trey's team, let's rally behind him, that speaks volumes for the character in this locker room, man. Good for that. Good for them, man. I like that you brought that up because that shows us this team is not going to falter. The only people that are going to stir this and make it sound negative is the media. They're going to try all they can to make the Niners falter. Oh, God, this is so bad.
Man, you got points.
They're going to be feeding off that, but this team is stronger than all that noise. So
every time you make a point, I got to give you the Price is Right bell, though, because you got points for days, bro. Like that was so on point. And the thing that I love about this the most is that the culture of this team is that the team is going to protect the team, right? That's what you want. You want the band of brothers mentality out there that they're going to go down, they're going to win with their brothers, they're going to lose with their brothers, but they're going to stick up for their brothers. And the fact that they were teammates, he didn't specify who they were, but the fact that they were teammates that came out there and was like, Kyle, this ain't cool. I know you want to play with your new toy, but this ain't cool, cuz. He the leader. He a captain. This ain't cool. Kyle was like, all right, no problem. I'm not going to go with two quarterbacks because it's too hard for the offensive line.
Yo, this whole line, bro, they can barely protect one. Fuck trying to protect two, bro. Like, they got 3 quarterbacks on this roster. Let's keep it a buck. They're like, let's simplify this, Kyle. We ain't trying to do your matrix shit. Like, I know you're smart, but let's just roll with one, bro. Let's keep it up. Let's develop Trey. We got his back. We can barely block this guy. Like, I don't know. So speaking of the roster, I want to kind of shift the gears to this roster. They're still waiting on confirming final cuts, but was there anything surprising to you on roster cuts? I touched on this a little bit, but where were your surprises? I had a few, and I was shook.
All right, so I got 3 surprises, and if these are your guys, that's cool. My first roster cut, I can't go in order because I don't remember like that order. We were just posting stuff, and then we were watching the thing, and then we were posting at the same time. I would have to say that my biggest surprise was Kamiko Ture. Because I thought for sure that the 49ers just wanted the strongest defensive line they can find. And I thought having him, he wasn't the worst. I don't know if there was a worst, actually. And it was hard for me to watch them walk away from Kamiko Ture because I was just like, I don't get it. Like, I don't get what he didn't do. Now, John brought up a dope, interesting point, and I always forget about this. Kamiko Ture was the last defensive player signed, before the draft. Who did they draft? Drake Jackson.
Yeah.
So he could have just became that expendable piece because they were sold on the other pieces, and all the other pieces, like I said, performed well in camp as well as in the games. Therefore, Kamiko, I gotta let you go. But I tell you what, if you clear these waivers, cuz you probably could be back here on the practice squad. He's a veteran. He can get that practice squad status. Yeah. That was my main surprise. And then my second one was Malik Turner, man. I felt like Malik was making plays on offense, but more importantly, he can get down. I want special teams to be number 1, not 2, but number 1. And he was there every single punt, waiting for somebody to return the ball to crack him. Not only that, he forced a fumble that our boy picked up, Samuel Womack III. I don't understand it, but that's probably like my biggest surprise.
Yeah.
Those are my 2. I only really have 2, I think.
2? Okay, so I had 3, and those are pretty much my 2. So Kamiko Ture, I was shocked because he not only stood out in the preseason, but he was standing out in training camp. And again, we made our 53-man roster, and I thought he was going to make it. But I said it's going to be that. I don't know if they're going to keep 10 or 11 linemen, and there's going to be a battle between Hassan Ridgeway, Kamiko Ture, and Kerry Hyder. To me, those were the 3 guys on the edge, kind of the Fritz. But then you look at the roster and you're like, man, the edge talent is stacked. They got Ebicam, they got Drake Jackson, you got Kerry Hyder, you got Willis, you got Bosa, you got Amenahu. So you have a lot. So maybe they were like, oh, we got too many edge guys. This guy's a veteran. We really were impressed with Drake Jackson, and Drake Jackson, like you said, ascended. So because they had so many guys, it was that was the odd man out. And I think maybe if Ridgeway makes this roster, then they're really making sure they need to have interior depth. We talked about that. Remember, I said, are they going to keep Ridgeway? He did lay an egg that last game, but they need to make sure they can beat the run. And he was coming off a quad injury, so maybe he wasn't 100%.
True.
So I think that's the only reason why Ridgeway, gets the benefit of the doubt there. I was surprised on Teray, but maybe, with veterans, they like to tell the guy, look, we're going to keep you on the roster as a depth piece or a practice squad. But I'm sure they had the conversation with them and say, hey, look, is that okay with you? Maybe he's like, you know what? I played good enough this preseason where my tape's going to speak for itself and somebody will sign me on the roster. So maybe they talk to Teray, say, hey, look, we're going to give you the option. And if Teray's like, you know what? I think I could actually go somewhere and have meaningful minutes than being a depth piece or a practice squad guy, let me have that opportunity. So they released him. And I think that's kind of what happened is we love you, man, but if you got a better opportunity out there, go chase that. You know what I mean?
Go chase that dream,
so, Malik Turner, that fucked me up, bro. I was surprised. I thought they were going to make 6 wide receivers. You need special teams. And he played like a dog, man. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know. I was surprised about that one. That one kind of hit me.
But here's the thing. They went with 5. They went with 5 dogs. 5 dogs. Mm-hmm. I would say these 3 positions, bro. Wide receivers, running backs, and cornerbacks, and then the edge. But I felt like they already they loaded at the edge. But I feel like those 3. No, I'm sorry. I know what I was about to say. Running backs, cornerbacks, and wide receivers are the most knick-knack injuries of during the whole
hamstring.
Season.
You need depth, man. And I don't
hamstring.
You need it, man. Quad. I think they should have kept them. Maybe he clears and goes to waivers or practice squad, but I wouldn't have taken a chance with them. And maybe they're trying to stack like the O-line because there was one more guy. There was one more that really surprised me. I think he should have made it.
Yeah.
Jason Poe.
That was okay. I knew I had another guy. I knew I did.
Bro, it was Jason Poe. Like maybe he didn't play because he doesn't play tackle. They don't keep him because they need tackle depth.
They need the versatility.
But bro, Jason Poe, I thought he was good enough. I know he's undrafted. I know he's young, undersized, whatever the case is. But he didn't do anything to me that warranted him not being on this roster. If anything, he's going to get cut and get signed somewhere. I was a little pissed that they,
It's because his versatility. Man. His versatility is limited because of his measurements. And so he doesn't have the size to play tackle. If you look at the guys that we're just waiting on the final 8, 7, or whatever to be released. But if you look at the guys that are still here, what's good, Marty Marr? If you look at those guys, Jalen Moore, guard, tackle. Colt McKivitz, guard, tackle. Yeah. Nick Zakelj, guard, tackle. Like they can play both. And that's what it is. That's the only reason why Poe, in my opinion, he didn't get released because he didn't have the work ethic or he clearly had the dog in him.
It was the inability to play tackle.
It was his inability to not be versatile.
He's versatile, but not versatile enough.
Right. At tackle. Yeah. Can he play fullback? Yes.
He can play fullback, guard, and center. But he can't play tackle, so he done fucked himself up.
And guess where they didn't work him out at? Guard, center, and fullback. So they wanted him to be a guard. Daniel Brunskill's the guy, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's the backup. He's that Swiss Army knife that can play anywhere on the line. Brunskill could play right. He could play tackle. He could play guard.
The whole damn line,
he could
bro.
Play center. He's not good at it, but he at least attempted it. See, he's smart. He's like,
wait a minute, Raj. Please tell me Keaton Sutherland's getting cut, bro.
He better be. We're gonna find out. Sutherland made this roster, bro. We marching up to leave. I'm going down to Kyle. Yo, hold up. Yo,
bro,
Kyle.
I'll get a plane ticket, bro. I could get a red eye out there, man, because that ain't gonna be cool.
You better not keep Sutherland over Poe. I'm coming for your neck, bro.
Yo, I swear to goodness, man. I just realized we're still waiting on 7 or 8 players, guys. So hold your horses. We're still waiting on guys. We're waiting for the final. I'm sure that they're in. The 49ers are just super calculated when they release stuff. But I'm going to tell you right now, if Keaton Sutherland makes this team,
yeah, if he makes this team, I'm gonna be sick to my stomach.
I would rather have kept Justin School over Keaton Sutherland.
I don't know. I'm glad. I was so happy to see that notification.
I'm just telling you who I would have rather had. I would have took School over Keaton, and
you know
School was bad.
Well, we got some breaking news. Well, I don't know. So Matt Barrows, let's this tweet. He just says this seemed likely when guard Jason Poe was waived earlier today, but draft pick Nick Zakelj has made the initial squad.
Oh!
There you go. There you go.
Nick Zakelj is on the squad.
Let's get it out. There it is. Nick Zakelj. Breaking
Shout out
news,
to my
ladies and
mentor
gentlemen.
Raj.
There it is.
My mentor
There it
Raj.
is.
He
There
gets
it
me.
is.
He keeps me up to date.
There it is,
Wow.
baby. Nick Zakelj, baby.
You got a Nick Zakelj picture that fast? Shoot,
We looking for. Yes, sir. We got one.
I'm struggling. Hold on, I'm struggling.
I made sure. I was like last night. I was like, let me send you this. I can send it to you, but it's got a watermark. I gotta edit it out. Oh,
damn it,
Maybe.
Nick. Wait.
There it is. There it is.
I see that one. I don't want to use that one.
Got it?
Nah, I'm just gonna use this joint. I'm gonna use his profile pic.
Okay, that's a good one too. That's a good one. Yo, you know what I saw? Yo, your graphic, you changed your layout, bro. Your layout.
Yeah, I'm trying. I be up late at night just experimenting with stuff,
bro,
man.
I saw it the other day. I was like, okay, breezy upgrade on the graphics, man.
That's what's up, Nick. You know what? That's what's up. Whoever picked Nick Zakelj, I didn't have him on my list. Yeah. I did not have him on my list, so that's dope.
That's dope. You know what? That's a good. He's the rookie, and you just had mentioned that he's got he's versatile. He could play center. He could play guard.
Yeah,
do a little bit of everything.
Thanks, 49er Media, and most importantly, he's that smart of a guy.
He's very smart.
He's very smart. We're talking Ivy League smart. The 49ers now have 2 Ivy League players on their team.
Yeah. There we go. Wow.
All right, there it is. So he made it. Who did they let? Who's not? We still waiting for the knots.
We still waiting, baby boy.
We still waiting on the knots. So the cool thing is he made it. That's the only thing that matters.
Wow. Yeah, Nick Zakelj made it. And you know what? He kind of struggled, and even Mayor Barrows says on his post, he goes, he says Zakelj seemed shaky at first, but progressively got better throughout camp. Okay. And I think this is something that Shanahan does with these rookies, is he wants them to show improvement throughout their session, because they're going to start, a little shaky.
That's growth, brother.
But you're right, the growth, and I think Zakelj really showed it, because Poe was solid throughout. But for a rookie to come out and show that growth throughout training camp was important. And I think the thing that sealed it for Zakelj was the fact that he played center at the end, because towards the end of training camp, he was sitting taking snaps at center, and I was like, okay, that's a little new, because early on he wasn't playing center, and I think they know they need an insurance policy at center, and maybe they're going to mold him to be a center. And I think that is what really helped him make this roster. The fact that he can go out there, he played center better. He looked better at center taking those snaps than Dan Brunskill did. I tell you what, Dan Brunskill is not a good center. He was missing snaps left and right. So,
yeah. So if he's making the roster, are they going with 9 men? Or are they going to go with 8 men?
I think so.
I think they go with 9, right?
I think they go with 9, and I think I think we both nailed it with 9. I think Zakelj is the guy over Poe. So we get the lineman. I think it's Zakelj over Poe. So I think it's Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, Mike McGlinchey, Colton McKivitz, Jalen Moore, Dan Brunskill, and Nick Zakelj. That's your lineman.
There you go, brother.
Yeah.
Since I'm so slow with this, I'm gonna hash tweet or whatever that shit is called. H-T RSF 49ers. There it is, bang.
Made it. He made that roster, man. Let's shout out to Zakelj. I like that.
That's dope for him, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's dope. Like, I'm very impressed. And the 49ers clearly just aren't really necessarily worried about the offensive line. Like, they're not. It's crazy.
Yeah.
We're worried, but they're not. There's a plan, y'all. Y'all just gotta trust it.
Yeah. Shout out, hold on real quick. Sad Niners fan says, where'd you get that shirt, Raj? Actually, this little Darth Vader tee I got I got this from Disneyland when I was at Disneyland. So it's not a Target
That's
shirt.
an exclusive joint, yo.
It's an
Yeah,
exclusive joint.
yeah. You're not
But yo,
finding
shout
that.
out to Disneyland for the merch. Yo, if y'all want to sponsor me too, come on board. Disneyland, Target, sponsor your boy.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is, yo.
Yeah. Drew C says, I hate to see a wasted pick so soon with Castro Fields. I don't see it as a wasted pick. I think Castro Fields, he was raw. He was a guy that still needs development. They're going to put him on the practice squad. I think he's still a year away, and that's not a waste because this team has developed a lot of players over the years. They just need some time. You could tell he was very raw. He wasn't good enough to make this roster based on the cornerbacks because they added so many good cornerbacks. You got Charvarius Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, Womack was a dog. Lenore really stepped up this year. Ambry Thomas, those guys were not – he wasn't better than any of those guys. So, at the end of the day, develop, next year get better. And I think they're going to keep Castro Fields, develop them. Look at guys they've had on the roster through the years. Azeez Al-Shahir, he was undrafted. He was very raw when he first came in. But now he's one of your favorite players on this team, So,
he
I don't
grew
think
right into that position. Speaking of that, you mentioned linebackers, bro. They let go of Sagan Alubi, right? And so there's some linebackers that haven't been cut yet. All right. Marcelino McCrary-Ball, Curtis Robinson, who's injured at this moment. So I think he'll be one that's going to be on the bubble. All right. And Oren Burks. We didn't get to any, like, these guys are like, they haven't touched the linebacker spots yet, except for Alubi. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Like, do you see how many, like, Demetrius Flanagan fouls? Like, is he making the squad? Are the 49ers going with 5 linebackers? And if so, are they, I don't know, man. This is tough.
So I did see Alubi getting released, unfortunately, but I think he's, practice squad. We talked about this. He's going to be practice squad. He's the future. He's a guy that's going to replace Azeez if he leaves next year, contract year. I'm surprised that McCrary-Ball still has it. I mean, obviously, we haven't got an official word. If he makes it, man, that's huge for the guy. But I think that ultimately McCrary-Ball is going to get released, and then they'll put him on the practice squad. I think DFF, I think Demetrius Flanagan Fowles is going to be your 5th linebacker. He's special teams guy. He knows the system like the back of his hand, and we're going to have the 5 linebackers. I still think it's Warner, Azeez, Greenlaw, Oren Burks, and DFF. That's what I think is going to happen. But it is interesting that they haven't released McCrary-Ball yet, But I hope he makes it. This guy was really good in coverage, but I think he ultimately gets released.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I see people retweeting me because I said, remember the last preseason game and Jalen Moore just looked like hot. He just looked different. And I think, and I tweeted, he's not making this roster. But if you watch my roster breakdowns, the predictions, guess who's on my roster? Jalen Moore. So don't take my tweets during games. Like
sometimes you're in your feelings on the game. You're like, this guy's dark. But when you analyze and you make it a roster, you're like, oh, damn.
I need another account or something, bro. So I could do my feelings account and then like the regular, report account.
You might need to make a separate account. Because sometimes I be posting my feelings on my page and I'm like, oh, I'm getting roasted on this one. They saved them tweets. They saved them tweets like, oh, what about this, Rod?
Where did this? Why is this popping up? This was a week ago. Like, what? Like,
I got stuff from like last year. People quote tweet my ass. I'm like, man, you done saved this receipt for a whole year just for today, bro.
See, Mimi, like, I'm with you. Mimi B, she put her names phonetically because I think I was saying it wrong. But look, she right. They look bad.
Right. They look like dog water, bro.
They look bad. But I got him on my roster spot. So I got him.
Yeah. And that was the issue is, okay, they're going to make the roster. But that's why I'm a little unsettled with linemen because your depth is not good. So if we have to go and play one of those 2 guys on the starting roster, we done screwed. So you pray that your starters stay healthy. And again, that's why I'm worried about the whole McGlinchey situation because he's probably not going to make it through the season. So you're going to have McKivitz or Jalen Moore on that side. And we hope that they can improve from what we saw in the preseason. Because let's be honest, Mimi's right. They were not good during the preseason. They didn't even look good in camp. I remember watching them in camp and I'm going, they're gonna go with this, like Tom Brady. They're going with that guy, like
over
Colton McKivitz. I don't know why. I love this dude.
I like McKivitz on the left side, and I think they like him because he's just a blue collared worker, man. Like, just think about it, man. You got same thing with Daniel Brunskill. They always have at least 2 or 3 of these players on their team. ever since the Kyle Shanahan regiment. Think about it. Think of all the offensive linemen we've had on our team that just weren't like top caliber. I'm trying to think. Remember Mike Pearson?
Yeah. They got guys that you're like, I mean, they work hard. They're
Even
right. They're
Tom
blue
Compton
collar.
was trash.
They did.
But last season, he looked good. And then he got him a contract in Denver. So, like I said, man, these 49ers are trying to but the thing is, you know what I think, Raj? On this offensive line, you don't have to be great. You just have to play your role. You just have to play your angles. Football's all about angles. Get to that spot and set what you need to set before you allow the defensive linemen to control and dictate where you're going to go. That's the issue. That's what they're struggling with. And if you watch that game, Jalen Moore's angles in that game, that last game, he was terrible. I don't think he was fast enough to get anywhere.
Yeah, he was just. But again, he was coming off a leg injury, so then you give him the benefit of the doubt. Like I was saying earlier, was it because he was still hampered by the injury? He didn't have his full speed, so then that's where Shanahan comes in and says, okay, he was hurt. Let's see how he does through the season and see if he can make those plays. Because if he's not making those plays later, then we know it's not just the injury; it's just he sucks. So you kind of have to kind of assess the roster in certain ways, and it's tough because players coming back from injury, it's harder to assess because you're like, is it the injury or is he just not good? So it is tough. I don't know. We're still waiting for this damn roster. And you know what? In 49ers fashion, they're making us wait. Like that, why are we surprised that we're waiting, man? We got Jimmy Garoppolo that they took him to the final hour yesterday to sit there and drop that notey on us. And everything they do is they drag it out. Debo's situation, they dragged it out. So why are we surprised that we're waiting for this roster? I got a couple questions before we finish up here. Because I know you say you got to bounce out soon. So roster, we got Jermichael Hasty was waived today. They released him. It wasn't shocking to me. A lot of people thought this was big news, but I did have him making it. Remember,
I didn't.
I went back and I put him in because of his preseason performance, and I thought Kyle liked him. I guess he's like, screw it. We got to go with somebody else. Are they going to keep Jordan Mason? Yes.
I think they keep him 6 running backs, bro. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, it's and it's because this is crazy. 3 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, 5 wide receivers. That's the circle. So I think if you went one less wide receiver, you add another running back.
Yeah, the running back. That's smart.
4 running backs, right? And so now I'm surprised that we didn't trade anybody, which lets me know that Kyle Shanahan is all in with this group of guys. He didn't let anybody up. He wasn't letting up Jeff Wilson. He wasn't letting up anybody.
None of
them. So I didn't have Hasty making it only because he doesn't have that many accrued seasons in the NFL. I think 1 altogether. He's been in the league for 3 years.
Yeah.
But the total amount of games that he's played, I think only add up to 1 accrued season. Right. Yeah. And so therefore, guess what he always can revert back to? The practice squad.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like Kyle Shanahan just know the game.
He does. He knows the game. He really does. He knows how to manipulate the system. And he's like, all right, if I cut Jermichael Hasty, he probably has a better chance of clearing and going to our practice squad than Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason had all the hype on him. If we cut him, somebody's snagging him. And you know what? If Jermichael Hasty gets cut and he goes somewhere, I don't know who said this. Maybe it was you. Who said this to me yesterday or one of these days? They said, you know what? Because Kyle likes Hasty so much, if he does find a job somewhere else, he'll be happy for him because he's like, you know what? This man got a job somewhere, and I'm happy he's going to go at least play somewhere and get some time. So it's not the end of the world. And there was a report, I think Mayoko put it out, and they had like a report with Jermichael Hasty. He sat down with one of these reporters, and he basically said he's not worried. He's not stressed about it. He goes, because he knows his tape is good enough that he'll land on a team. So whether he stays with the Niners or not, he knows he's going to continue to play football this year. So I think that's him saying, hey, they can cut me. I'll find a place somewhere else. He's probably got offers coming in. So I don't think it's the end of the world for Jermichael Hasty. He'll find a roster spot. He does have a good preseason tape. Like I said, he always knows what to do in preseason to show, hey, I'm a capable player. And if he gets signed somewhere else, Kyle will be happy for him. And it is what it is. And then we'll be happy because we have kept Jordan Mason. Now, the elephant in the room is Trey Sermon, and he's definitely going to make this roster. But, I mean, it's not guaranteed yet. If he gets cut, then we are going to be –
If he gets cut, we go back live, bro.
Yeah, we got to have a break. Breaking news, Trey Sermon got cut.
Yo, I'll be right at the Apple Store doing breaking news, bro. That's where I'm headed. I'll be right at the Apple Store doing a motherfreaking breaking news if Trey Sermon gets cut because there's going to be a lot of receipts. that's
Yeah,
gonna be tuning in.
100%. When I go pick up my daughter, maybe on the drive back they'll announce it, and then I'll be I'll be live. Yo, Trey Sermon done got bro. I'll have my daughter film me and shit, So
That's
oh
funny.
man, that's
It's
funny,
gonna be
bro.
crazy, man. But listen, man, they got what 6? They got about 6 or 7, maybe I think 6 to 8 more players that they have to release. I'll guarantee you these players have already been done. They're just going to do their due diligence,
Yeah,
let them out when they want. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what we're just waiting on, man. That it just comes down to that. But great show. Anthony says we need 6 running backs because Mitchell not available because of injuries. Sherman's a mystery. TDP, don't know what he's going to be. They said he's an upcoming star. We don't know that. That cat TDP ain't played one game of professional football yet.
It's just preseason. Yeah, he's preseason.
I'm just saying he hasn't been hit. I do. You know what? It was the same connotation that I had when we had Jalen Hurd, and he was thorough against that Dallas game. And then I was like, but then he couldn't stay healthy to play a regular game.
Yeah, that's it, bro.
I'm not saying that's TDP. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying let's measure him after he takes his first NFL
in a regular season game. Yeah, we have to wait and see on a regular season game because right now preseason is one thing, but and same thing with Jordan Mason because everybody's proclaiming Mason as a dog, and I think Mason's great. No slight to him. I think he could be good, and everybody's saying he's going to be the top, running back eventually. And I like Mason, but again, it's been preseason. Let's see how they do in regular season. It's a whole nother monster. It's a whole nother story. So I will wait and hold my thoughts on those two guys. I hope they make it because they showed that they deserve to make it. And this is when I look at preseason, I want to see how hard these guys are working. If they're coming out consistently and they're working hard and okay, they're going to make a mistake, but the next week you improve upon that and you're like, man, you know what? Last week you couldn't make this run or you could have hit this hole, but look at this week, that's what I want to see. So then I put them up on my notebook and I'm like, all right, they're going on that brings them up a notch. And then I look at them and say, on the body of work based on training camp and everything, they should make it because they're working hard. But if you're a guy that goes through the training camp, goes through preseason, and you didn't improve upon anything or you didn't make yourself better, do I really want you on the roster? Because you're just there to be there. You're just going through the motions. So we'll see.
We'll see, man.
Yeah, man. Any final thoughts for today? This was a fun show, man.
It's fun because like our heads were wrapped around like we didn't know what the heck was going to go on. Like, but I tell you what, our lists are pretty spot on. That means we've been doing our work. We've been doing our homework. Our lists are pretty spot on. We had 2 to 3 surprises, and our lists are pretty spot on. Raj, you got to post your list because it's pretty spot on.
Yeah,
my list is pretty spot on. That means we've been doing our due diligence. But listen, Raj, thank you for having me on, bro. I appreciate it. I'm gonna get you on hopefully Monday nights. You'll be that guest. You know what I'm saying, on a Nitty Gritty show because you really can be nitty gritty on that. So I love it when you're not hosting because you just give it to us raw.
You know how it goes. I like to keep 100 of these people, but sometimes I gotta, because when there's certain eyes on me, I'm like, let's scale it back. It's a family show, but hey, nitty gritty. I keep it a buck on everything. So,
understood, bro. Listen,
but I appreciate you for dropping in, man, and I always appreciate your help. I love having you on, man, and it's fun times, and it's always good collaborating with everybody, and it makes my show better. It makes your guys' show better because we get different takes. We get everybody's comments, and the fans are engaged. So it's just good entertainment, man, and I appreciate you. So
for sure. Shout out to everybody out there too, man. Thank y'all for tuning in. Raj, I see you're almost at 4K. Let's get Raj the 4K. I'm working on the 5K. Let's get us to 9K together. How about that?
Let's get it. Let's get my man Wayne. If you follow me, but you don't follow Wayne, go follow my man Wayne Breezy. He keeps it 100. He keeps it locked on. I love it, man.
Same here. If you're following me and you're not following my man Raj, make sure our
Niners dropped the 53-man roster. With that, we gotta go. We gotta drop some content. We'll be back live later. Jordan Willis was released. All right, here we go. Here we go.
All right, guys, we out, man.
See you tonight. We'll talk to y'all tonight. I love y'all.
Peace.
Later.